Hey, Star City Game. If you're going to delete my author page, then you might as well delete all of my articles. Consider this a request to do so, and my final thanks for hosting all of my work over the years. No hard feelings. I assume you had some problem with something I said on Twitter about #Gamergate. Well, guess what? #Gamergate, and every worthless piece of in it. Yes, the women too. Yes, the minorities too. I'd say the same about women and minorities who joined the KGB, or the National Socialist Douche Arbitrate. There's literally zero chance I ever change even one letter, of one syllable, of one word, of one sentence, of one tweet I've made on the subject of feminism, affirmative action, and or #Gamergate. So, you might as well go ahead and remove me, and we'll both go our separate ways, with my thanks. I am not making one concession for #Gamergate. I'll die first. Literally. I have made peace with my existence, and I am prepared to die. I'm so absolutely sick of 4chan-gnomed males, cowed and self-righteous internalization queens, their grandfathered-in media strangleholds, their intellectually corrupt tactics and methods, the miserable damage they see no problem inflicting, their politics. I'm looking at you, Adam Baldwin, you rusty right-wing Nixon trombonist. So much for me ever watching Firefly again. And the all-encompassing stupidity about which they remain utterly oblivious. I'm not the one making light of the final solution. In fact, I'm using the suggested punishment fittingly, because I honestly, and without hesitation, think that each and every one of these should be tossed into Treblinka. Right now you're probably gasping and saying, "How dare you say such a thing?" Well, I'll tell you how. I consider #Gamergate to be a complete disgrace. And I'm tired of it. Tired. This is the last straw for me. When Anita Sarkeesian received over $100,000 in donations for her simple project that intended to discuss the problems facing women in the medium of video games, and as players of same, I saw it as the silent majority of right-thinking folks finally finding a horse to back. It was one of the most happy events I could have imagined. She got hundreds of times the donations she expected. It was a great and heartwarming outpouring of support for her proposed topic. A topic millennia overdue for such discussion. Finally, I thought, the worm is turning. Finally, people might start understanding what women have suffered at the hands of men and media since the dawn of time. We all know that 6 million Jews died horrible deaths in the Holocaust, a terrible fate, and the worst single extermination of a cultural/religious demographic in world history. 3 million of those were women themselves. But for your sake, let's just forget that. Let's assume they were just magical ethnic/religious Jews, with no other characteristics like gender. So, 6 million suffered a horrible fate. And yes, if I could sacrifice my life to save those poor souls right now, I would do it in a nanosecond. But I wasn't alive to do that, or capable in any case. And those poor Jews had to spend 15 years under this brutal oppression. It is one of history's greatest tragedies. Ask anyone, and it will be one of the first events they name, in triumvirate with the betrayal of Jesus Christ and the destruction of the World Trade Towers. It is taught as the great moral exemplar. I am not oblivious to these events. In fact, I am well studied in their specifics, and hold a deep interest in the history, macro and micro, lens pulled out, lens pulled close. Now listen to me, okay? Really listen. I want you to do a thought exercise. It will help you understand where I'm coming from. Guess, since the dawn of time, LOL, mankind, how many women were born, lived, and died during a time when they could be fired for being pregnant, not report workplace sexual harassment, not run in the Boston Marathon, not apply for credit, not refuse to have sex with their husband, not obtain a no-fault divorce, not have a legal abortion, in some countries not leave their own homes without being stoned to death, not drive a car or leave home without a man's permission if dwelling somewhere with strict Islamic law, but they can own a car, gee thanks, be raped as a part of a strategy of war to reduce morale on their side, suffer marital rape or physical abuse, be blamed for it, suffer feticide or infanticide in a country that legalizes such actions as part of a demographic modification strategy, suffer feticide or infanticide in any case, because what the not legally own land, as a result end up homeless if widowed, do 2/3 of the world's work and receive less than 1/10 of the world's income, an ever-present feminization of poverty that stems from the above entry. Did I mention not apply for credit? This time because they can't legally own sufficient collateral due to the above. Not legally upgrade their inherited holdings in any way, once her husband is gone. Employees, materials, equipment, sorry. Tough. Not become an entrepreneur, irrespective of any amount of talent, because of zero access to basic legal rights. Die in childbirth at a rate of, on average, 5 individuals per minute of every day due to lack of access to basic health services. Get engaged to a 7-year-old cousin at age 3 without having a word in the matter. Automatically lose custody of her children if she wants out of her loveless, incestuous marriage, into which she was pledged without her knowledge. Hold just 15% of elected parliamentary seats in the world, despite comprising more than 50% of the world's population. Make up more than 2/3 of the world's illiterate adults. Not be treated as well as men in any country, according to the first UN Human Development Report in 1997, and every Human Development Report thereafter. Not be treated as well as men in any country at any point, despite the UN literally enacting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, which specified that everyone, regardless of sex, was entitled to the same rights and freedoms. Yes, I said the UN rights mandated by the U, and then falling short literally everywhere on Earth, every year, as reported by the same UN. All of the above information is verified and checked by UNICEF, the UN Development Program, World Economic Forum, National Committee on Pay Equality, and the WHO. Got a guess in your head? Okay. Before I answer, I want to repeat. The poor European Jews suffered devastating atrocities and inequalities for 12 years, from 1933, and Hitler's ascension to Chancellor, to VE Day in 1945. Around 6 million Jews were lost in the slaughter. Women? They suffered all the inequalities listed above and more/worse the further back you look, for 11,970 years. Yes, 119 centuries for women, 12 years for Jews. And how many women suffered through the endless period? How many lived and died under these conditions between 10,000 BC and 1970 AD? 6 million Jews suffered the worst the Nazi scum could dish out over 12 years. One of the worst events in human history, to which a reference constitutes a favorite #Gamergate derailing tactic. And women? 50 billion women suffered 11,970 years of as described above. And I won't even get into the Holocaust-worthy violence and atrocities to which they were increasingly subjected. The further one travels back into the Dark Ages. 50 billion. Yet all I hear out of Gamergate is meh, they've got it okay now, but listen to them complain. So I'm sorry. You might get your foreskins in a tizzy when I mention Bergen-Belsen, while expressing my disgust with #Gamergate. But seriously, have some perspective. Do some reading. Oh, you've watched Schindler's List, The Stoning of Soraya M., and read A Handmaid's Tale. Or read the Bible. Sure, the most famous guy to die in it is a Jew, but the book stones more women than a basilisk dropped into a taping of The View. Want examples? John 8:3-11, for one. But Leviticus 21-27 contains a fun list of women that should be tortured to death for such grave offenses as being slept with by an adulterous man, keeping a familiar spirit, and so on. Oh, and let's not forget being slept with by the same man as did your mother/daughter. This terrible trespass could only be punishable by putting both women on the flame and burning them alive. Anyway, I'm finished with stupid running their mouths and holding back progress for women in a billion areas, while being slow and self-important enough to be blissfully unaware of the damage done. #Gamergate is unequivocally doing just by existing with Nazis claimed in their propaganda that the Jews were doing, making the world worse. As such, I feel less than zero remorse for saying inflammatory and cruel things to gators. Them. They could die tomorrow and I would pump the fist. Why? Go read the bullet point list again. Imagine the millions beaten to death by stones, burned alive, raped, and then cut and left to bleed out. Imagine 11,000 years of that. That's why. Now you. Yes, you. The bottom dwelling. Complete idiot. Neckbeard. Loser. Piece of mother Taco Bell breath wheezing. Greasy iPhone dialing. Tank putting mayonnaise on dental floss scumbag. The guy double-fisting memes and cheese slices. The guy making a Custer's Revenge sprite in Minecraft. The guy who has never written or produced anything with a in your pitiful chair compacting, back of neck wiping life. I mean, me? Mean? You. Read the bullet point list again. Every entry. Now imagine your mother, or your sister, or your daughter. Women suffered through 11,900 years of all that and worse. And you have the balls to push back and minimize now that we're finally working towards setting things right. You can't just cut them a break when they're finally making the push for some equality in media. You have to be a about it. Hamstring and slander Anita. Stall things with utter intellectual dishonesty. Yeah, really noble of you to complain about me vocally wishing the lot of you had been at Bergen-Belsen instead of the chosen people. At least #Gamergate would have deserved every molecule of that hydrogen cyanide. You probably think I have a lot of chutzpah saying that, but read my explanation again. Look at what women have been through for 100 centuries. Oi, Gewalt. And you. The right wing fancies himself political, armed forces glorifying and seeing women as lesser, even though it was your own ancestors who wouldn't let their gender anywhere near your ranks for a whole jillion years. Your brains are AWOL. Stop being private. You know everything about women's rights. That life as a K-forum troll, a as Vab score, and a skimming of Atlas Shrugged while jerking off in the bathroom at that Chick-fil-A has taught you. Yes, I mean you, Adam Baldwin. Jane Cobb? Jane. He was pretty naturalistic when playing a self-involved and now I know why. I'd still wear any of Jane's t-shirts, but I'd sooner swallow a gun than repeat anything that comes out of his mouth. And you, the self-hating gal, who internalizes everything her dumb friends have shoveled down her stack, then calls it a unique worldview due to little more than pride and self-importance. Fuming at hearing me say that? You're actually a feminist? Sorry, but no, you're not. Tough. If you'd listen to me, I'd be happy to explain to you what's up, but you never had any intention of listening because you want to feel like the special little snowflake of your guild full of maladjusted ADD cases. Hashtag not your shield, huh? You're just a miserable, selfish clarion call of these words.
http://media/b2nujbyLGAAJDLO.jpg.
No votes, thank you. No votes, thank you. Go ahead and stone me, thank you. Catherine had nothing sexist in it, thank you. I love how the Japanese treat the girls in their media, thank you. More half-naked nuns in your CG, thank you. The appeal of womanhood. I hope everyone posting in #Gamergate gets gassed, incinerated, and their tooth fillings melted into a silver/gold Wiimote for Kim Jong-un and his extended family. I just feel you all should make the same contribution to the furtherance of tyranny and inequality in death that you did in life. Anyway, if you don't get it by now, then nothing I can say is going to convince you. I have to accept that. Some people are too dumb, or too stubborn, or too misprioritized to get it. But don't give me any about how Holocaust jokes at your expense are inappropriate when each and every one of you is in the midst of an act of anti-woman social sabotage, so foul it makes Stuxnet look like a game of centipede. Truth. Our society made a leap forward when we came together in one voice and spoke with our wallets to back Anita Sarkeesian to a greater magnitude than she could ever have dreamed. That was our apology for centuries of and our acknowledgement that the issue was still present and real. Now, #Gamergate and #NotYourShield are trying to sabotage a social change that has been almost 12,000 years in coming. Shame on you. Eat and die, every one of you. You'll have to kill me to stop me, because you sure as can't out-debate me, unless further convincing your own low standards having supporters counts as some sort of laughable victory. Come over to the right side and you'll instantly be forgiven and welcomed into the fold. It's not like I don't understand why you're so wrong-headed, right? Just read up. But ignore me instead? I'll not stop ripping you until one of us can no longer lift a finger at the keyboard. Every feminist who has put up with every day of your life, I'm here for you. The shaming, the street harassment, the sexual liberties, the music, the games, the television, the movies, where you couldn't find a good role model for your daughter with 2 hands and a flashlight. The newsroom. Sons of Anarchy. Any of that. If you need help, I'll help you any way I can. Finally, if anyone wants to unfriend me or unfollow me, no hard feelings. Just understand I can't change, won't change, and am making my stand here.